Boom guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mamadou Diallo, full-time real estate investor. If we never met before guys, listen, I went from making 30,000 euros per year in my corporate job in Belgium to making that $30,000 minimum in just one single real estate transaction. And that's only in 8 months after discovering wholesaling real estate. So the topic today, which is about overcoming the fear of cold calling, guys, I had to go through it and it completely changed my life. So if today I told you that if you were to overcome the fear of picking up the phone and talking to strangers, that your financial life and your family's financial life would be changed forever, would you sit down and make the calls? But guess what? One thing that I also noticed when I stumbled in real estate and I started doing what is cold calling is I noticed that naturally, innately, which you typically don't pay attention to, but we human beings, we have a true fear of, rejection. And that's the reason why cold calling is such a feared, task. People fear the no. People fear being told no. People fear being rejected, right? It's a harsh reality. So again, guys, if we never met before, you're new into this channel, my name is Mamadou Diallo, and this channel is all about helping you be successful in your own real estate journey. I've done since 2019 over 100 plus transactions in real estate, all the way from wholesaling real estate to fix and flips, buy and hold, raising private capital. Guys, the house that I'm standing in right now, I just bought this property, which is my primary residence in Atlanta, with no money, no credit, no credentials, nothing, right? And that's all because of this one skill, right? Overcoming the fear of picking up the phone and talking to strangers. Like, I had to work on this, guys. So if you're going through this right now, trust me, number one, you're not alone. 99.9% of people have this fear. The difference between the one that succeeds, right, whether that be cold calling for real estate, cold calling small businesses to sell them, products or whatever it is, overcoming the fear of picking up the phone and talking to strangers is the difference between successful people and non-successful people. Is that successful people understand that, you know what, this is a fear that will never go away. So what can I do? Let me run to it. Let me run to it, because the only thing I can do is to get used to it. Anybody that tells you that they enjoy waking up in the morning and cold calling strangers, I guarantee you they're a guru. What we call a guru is somebody who talks about a business that they don't do, right? So they talk about, for example, real estate, but they actually don't do deals. Okay? That's a guru. You want to talk to gurus. Nobody that I know, and I have a lot of high-level friends, right? And successful friends in real estate or other businesses, right? And everybody that I've talked to about cold calling, what they tell me and what I know by experience, because I've done it. My first 8 months, I was on the phone grinding, cold calling myself, wearing all the hats. I was doing the cold calling, following up on the sellers, talking to the title companies, doing it all myself before I started building a team. One thing we all have in common is that we got used to the rejection. We got used to the rejection. And then we changed something else in the way we think about it in order to keep calling sellers and keep following up and so on in order to be successful. And so guys, the fear is real. Remember when you were a kid? We always feared the rejection of our parents, rejection of God, rejecting us, rejections of the neighbor, whatever it is, rejection of that pretty girl that you want to date at school. You don't want to go and talk to her because you fear that she will say no. This fear is real. But the reality is the way you overcome anything is by doing it. The way you overcome any fear is by doing it. And so cold calling is not different. I'm just going to tell you my experience and how I did it, okay? Your path and your ways of doing things might be a little bit different. Guys, when I discovered wholesaling real estate, I was at my corporate 9-to-5 in Belgium, guys, making 30,000 euros a year. Quit my 9-to-5, and now I'm making that in one single transaction, even way more than that actually, in one single real estate transaction. And what did it for me is overcoming the fear of being on the phone and calling strangers and having conversations. Okay, so here's the trick that I did, guys. I gotta tell you a little bit about my background in order for you to understand, how my mind works and how I tricked myself and overcame it. So when I discovered wholesaling real estate, guys, I had zero sales background. My corporate job, even though I was, in Belgium, I used to work for the European high-speed trains, and I was a commercial agent, but it was not sales. The customers come to me, they want to buy train products, and I advise them where to go to travel. I have the map. Yes, I did learn the skill of talking to multiple different people, but it was not sales. Right? I've never worked in a position where I actually have to do sales, meaning, call people, negotiate, convince people, follow up, blah, 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 blah. I've never done that. I had zero experience. Guys, literally, I didn't even know what granite countertops were. It's funny because we all live in homes on a day-to-day basis, but if you're not a real estate investor, you don't pay attention to these things. Then you get into real estate investing, and then you start learning all these terms: granite countertops, expensive items like the roof, the electrical, the plumbing, blah blah blah. Like I never paid attention to these things because I wasn't an investor, and so I had to learn the language of my current trade that I want to get into. So, guys, I grew up in a refugee camp. Okay, lost my mom at the age of 7, got sent to a refugee camp where I grew up alone with a bunch of kids from different countries, all that flew from war, lost their parents, all that bunch of, kids, and we raised ourselves. And in that small little town where I grew up, this was in Belgium, it's called, the refugee camp is called Bevingen, right? When I grew up, guys, I was the only person that don't speak English. When I got there at the age of 11 years old, I stayed there till I was like 16, 17 years old before I got out and went and lived by myself. I was the only person that didn't speak English, and so I couldn't communicate with the other kids. Here's what I started doing, guys. I decided I'm going to learn English, right? And I'm going to use the music that I'm listening to do so. So what I used to do is I would learn 4 sentences a day, right? So I would print out, I had 2 people, Tupac and 50 Cent. So I would print out their lyrics, and then I'll translate 4 sentences a day. And, because I want to understand what I'm listening to, not only that, but also that I can practice some of it with my friends. Now, I knew I could chew back then 4 sentences a day. So I stuck with that. 1 year later, guys, I was speaking way better English than most of my friends that I found there from Tibet, Congo, Afghanistan, all these different countries. Even though they spoke English before me, but my English was way better because actually, I found a trick, right? I found a trick that works for me. I did the same thing when I got into wholesaling real estate. Guys, here's what I decided to do. Number one is I understood you have to cold call sellers, ask them about, a few things, right? You got to ask them about the condition of the property, what is their interest, why do they want to sell, what is the timeline, when do they want to sell, all that fun stuff. Now, mind you, in the beginning, I was so stressed out, I would dial sellers and then hang up before they pick up. I would literally hang up before they pick up. That's how fearful I was. But then I had to flip my mindset the way I look at it, because at first I was looking at it as, man, I'm over here sitting here calling strangers, trying to convince them to sell me their home and all that fun stuff. And that's why my fear was overwhelming, because why am I calling these strangers out of the blue and trying to convince them to sell me their home? And they're like, why are you calling me? Did you see a for sale sign on my yard? Start cussing me out, blah, blah. Guys, in the beginning, I was so frustrated that I would cuss back. Or I would call a seller, and if he rings and they don't pick up and it goes to voicemail, I'll be so happy. And then I feel like, I've done something. This is called mental masturbation. And then I'll go take a walk, right? I was so scared. But I decided to change my mindset about it. I said, what? You know what? Actually, am I really calling these people and trying to convince them to sell me their homes? Or am I looking for people that actually needs my help? Guys, that little thing, that little thought right there completely changed my mindset, and I got rid of the fear. It was still there, but I would take like a deep breath and call, and I stopped taking the cussing, the no. I stopped taking it personal. So here's how I changed my mindset. How do we make money in real estate, specifically when you market into off-market properties, you're doing wholesaling or, whatever, mainly wholesaling, that's how I got started, right? You're looking for motivated sellers. Motivated sellers, by definition, before you even call them, they've already decided that they're going to sell. and they have a reason for selling. They're motivated to let the property go. It doesn't have to be financial. It could be financial. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's a gain, right? But they have a reason for selling. It's not just somebody who's sitting there and be like, oh yeah, you call me, so make me the offer. I don't want to sell. Like, this is my primary home. I'm not moving. There's no sign on my yard. My property look great. I'm happy here. My kids go to school here. And you calling me, so make me an offer. If I like the offer, then I might sell it. Well, me too. I'm standing in my house right now. This house is probably worth $500,000. Even though I bought it with no money, no credit, no credentials, no license, that's because I know real estate, right? But even though I bought it with that, if you call me today, you say, hey, I'll give you $600,000 because you don't know what you're doing. Or maybe you Bill Gates' son or daughter, right? You have money to throw out of the window, right? Bro, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell you the property, move on with my life, pay off, not pay off the house because I'm smart. A lot of dumb people out there would pay off their house. But I'll take that $100,000, right? And go invest it into something else. Like, you just paid my house that is worth $500,000. You want to pay $600,000 for it? Of course I'll move too, right? But that's not a motivated seller. That's a tire kicker. So I had to change my mindset and be like, okay, who am I trying to cold call? Who am I trying to reach? I decided, you know what? Actually, the person that I'm trying to reach is somebody who needs my help, right? Is a homeowner that is either going through foreclosure. The bank is about to take their home. So pre-foreclosures, right? And so they need my help in order to catch up those arrears, get underneath that loan, not go through foreclosure and get their credit destroyed and all that fun stuff. People going through divorce, county liens, vacant houses completely beat up, needs renovation, but the sellers don't have the money to renovate it, or sellers that own their properties completely free and clear and they've owned it for a couple of years and they don't necessarily need the money, but they want to see the property go, right? But for them, they don't want to pay the IRS. So they're like, if you can give me the price that I'm asking, I will be willing to give you terms. Guys, check out my other videos. I have a whole creative finance, playlist. So we buy properties where we turn the sellers into the bank. This is called creative finance. Meaning, let's say hypothetically a seller want to sell the property for $500,000, but they're motivated. They want to see the property go, but they're married to that 500,000 number. They're not going to sell it for less than that. Somebody like me, because I understand creative finance, I'll come in and say, hey, great, I'll give you the $500,000 if you're willing to give me terms in return. What is terms? So hypothetically, I'll give you $10,000 down payment, and then I'll make you 1,000 monthly payments every single month for the next 10, 13, 20 years, whatever. Then I pay you off. So the seller becomes the bank for me. That is a seller finance. But they have to have a reason for selling. The reason could be downsizing. I'm too old. I've owned this rental for a while. I don't want to be a landlord anymore. But I don't need the money. But I definitely want to see the property go. I don't want to keep it. I don't want to rent it anymore. I don't want to list it on the market. I don't want to talk to realtors, right? There has to be motivation. So my mindset was like, ooh, I'm looking for not only motivated sellers, but sellers that need my help. They have a problem that I can solve. So actually, when I'm cold calling, what's happening is this. I'm going to talk to 99 people that's going to say no. F you, why are you calling me? There is no for sale sign on my yard. What do you want, right? But I'm like the same way which if you're trying to make your yard, your lawn look good, like you got to get rid of all the bad weeds, right? That's what I'm doing, right? So all these people say no, F you, blah, blah, blah. They just don't need my help. And it's not who I'm looking for anyway. So the faster I can get to the no, the better for me, because then I can get to that person that is sitting behind the phone waiting for me to be responsible enough to call them and solve their problem, because they're losing their home to the bank. The property has been vacant for years, being vandalized by squatters and all that fun stuff. Nobody else is able to help them. Fix and flippers cannot help them. They don't know how to find the deals. Realtors cannot help them because realtors are coming in and saying, hey, in order for me to list this, you got to fix it, but the seller can barely afford the property taxes. How are they going to fix anything? So somebody like me can come in and say, hey, I'll buy it completely as is. You don't even have to flush the toilet. That solves our problem. And so they're willing to trade equity, right, for convenience, okay, for convenience and speed and solution, right? Guys, I'm telling you guys, I had to sit down and I remember, because right now I'm standing on my kitchen island, and I remember when I had this conversation with myself back then in 2019. I was in York, PA, Pennsylvania, And I was struggling being, like just quit my 9 to 5 corporate job in Belgium, got into real estate, wholesale. Guys, overcoming this fear, my first 8 months, I made over $115,000 wholesaling my first 3 deals, and they all came through me getting out of my fear of cold calling and starting calling sellers. All my deals, my first 3 deals is driving around and finding ugly houses and calling those sellers directly from my car and having a conversation with them. But did I have 100 people before them that told me no? Absolutely every single day. People that cuss me out? Absolutely every single day. But guess what? I decided, you know what? The faster I can get to the no, that's number one. The faster I can get to the person that actually need my help. That's number one. Number two, okay? I need to stop taking this personal. It's not personal. I call somebody out of the blue. They don't know me. I disturb their day. Maybe they're in a meeting. Maybe they're not doing shit with their life. There's a lot of stuff. Like, I stopped taking it personal, because most people that we cuss you on the phone, by the way, there's something shitty they're going on in their life, and they're throwing that at you. They're having a bad day. Their wife just left them. Their girlfriend just left them. Whatever it is, they're not making the money that they want. They're working at a shitty job that they hate. And so they're taking all of that out on you because you called them out of the blue about, hey, Mr. Seller, are you interested in selling 123 Main Street? Right? I've had so many of those guys. So I started having fun with it. So that's number one. So the fear never, up to today, guys, I've done 100+ deals. Now I have a team, I don't really cold call anymore. We have virtual assistants, and we hire through CallStar. By the way, if you're just getting started, there's a right and wrong way to hire virtual assistants. This is why we use CallStar, because they'll give you those advices, especially if you don't have any sales background, you've never trained a VA before. But the reality is, guys, in the beginning, you have to go through the trenches. You got to do the work, man. Like there is no way around it. But guess what? Even 100. Like, guys, one of my good friends, Pace Morby, by the way, if you don't know creative finance, make sure you get his new book. Not only is it a badass book, he's teaching you all things creative finance, giving you scripts and all that. Plus, your boy Mamadou is mentioned in this book that he wrote for Bigger Pockets. So make sure you get it on Amazon. Is Wealth Without Cash. That's what it's called. Okay, by Pace Morby. So with that being said, guys, I'm telling you, man, the fear will never go away. You just need to flip it and start understanding that I'm calling people that actually need my help. So I need to talk to all those people that don't need my help, get them out of my way, so I can get to the person that actually needs my help. You gotta change. As soon as I change that mindset, it's weird, guys. I struggled almost 7 months before my first deal. As soon as I had that conversation and switched my mindset, I got my first deal like probably 2-3 days later. It's like I stopped thinking. My first deal, guys, just to give you guys a quick story, was a $68,000 assignment fee on that property. Is a vacant house in Maryland. And I remember telling the seller, hey, I'm a problem solver. I don't care if I don't make money on this. You're about to lose your house with the bank. We'll help you out. Because I switched my mindset. I stopped thinking about, I just quit my job. I need to pay my rent or my car, this, my blah, blah. I stopped thinking like that, because then I'm just thinking me. I started thinking about, problem solving. I solve a problem, and the result of it is a check. I solve a problem, the result of it is a check. So it's all here, guys. You got to change your mindset. You see this shirt right here? You got to have these 4 components. This boom is not for a gimmick. Number one, you got to be bold. So you have to have confidence in order to call strangers and not take it personal. You got to have some confidence in you. It's not about what you say. Remember, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. So most sellers on the phone have no clue that you don't have experience. The only way they know that is because of your lack of confidence. They can smell it on your tone. So first of all, you got to be bold, okay? The second thing is you got to be obsessed. You have to be so obsessed about this new thing you want to do, because maybe 1, you're sick and tired of the current job that you have. Maybe 2, you're sick and tired of the current financial situation you're in. Maybe 3, because you know this is the right thing to do and you're passionate about it, whatever it is. But you have to be obsessed with it and do it every single day and more than once, because you get used to it. It never goes away. The fear do not go away. Do not expect it to go away, but you get used to it. Even today, when I follow up on sellers, I take a deep breath. Then I make the call. Soon as they pick up, done. My fear completely evaporate. But before I make the call and the pickup, there's always some sort of fear. It should be, right? It's the same thing the first time you try to learn how to drive a car. I remember when I learned with a stick shift in Europe. And so my biggest fear was, I was so fearful. I didn't know where to put my feet, blah, blah, blah. And I remember my first little small car that I was driving with after the first time I got my license, I was still not good, right? And I was driving this car, like my biggest fear was to drive and run into a red light on a small hill, because I haven't mastered the pedals yet. Holy moly, I was so fearful, and I hate if a car is behind me, because I'm like, shit, I don't know if I can, move the car without, running by. It's just crazy. But the more I drove, the more it became like second nature. It's the same thing. Cold calling is the same thing, guys. The more you make these calls, the more it becomes fun. You gotta make it fun. Second thing that I started doing, guys, is I started having accountability partners. So with other people that are going through the same journey, we'll open up a virtual office on Zoom, okay? And every single day we'll hop on there and we'll make calls, right? So if I'm calling the seller and other people are on the Zoom, if nobody's talking, I can unmute, they can listen to me, give me feedback, but it also encourages me to do it because I don't want to be a sissy. There's other people watching, so I have to perform. So accountability is huge to overcome it. But don't expect the fear to go away, and change this right here. Start thinking, man, I need to be responsible and find those people that need my help and solve their problem. Then I get a check. And then second thing is, let me not take this personal. It's not personal. The people cussing me, not motivated, blah, blah, they just don't need my help. Let me go find somebody that actually needs my help, because that's where I make my money. All right, guys? So let me know in the comments below if you got any value out of this. And something else I'm going to do, guys. Let me know in the comments if you're going to get value out of this. In my current house, I'm building my studio here in the back, on the right here. And I'm going to bring some people here. We're going to make live cold calls and show you guys how easy it is. Follow up with seller, make calls live so you can see how we lock up deals. So leave a comment below in the comments if you will get value out of it. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you get any value out of this, okay? And watch my other content about creative finance if you don't know nothing about creative finance, because in 2023 is not a wholesaling market. You better learn creative finance if you want to do deals in 2023. And let me know in the comments below if there is anything that I didn't address here that you would love for me to address, and I'll make a video about it and answer your question. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Follow me on all social media platforms, Instagram @realestateDiallo, Snapchat, TikTok, all those. Like I'm on all platforms, guys. So stay bold, be bold, and I'll see you on the next video.